Okay, as most of us work on V8 JS machine, right? As in Google Chrome, let us understand how it optimizes things, right? So the JS objects are stored in the heap memory, and the references are in the stack memory, as we had discussed, right? The objects are nothing but key value pairs, right, as we had discussed again. So it's a huge task for the JS engine to retrieve the properties of an object in from the heap memory. So suppose there is a stack memory and there is a heap memory. In heap memory we have got objects. In stack memory we have got references. Okay. From with the help of these references we get the properties of the object. But in JS it is going to be difficult because it's a dynamically typed language and we can add properties to the object in the fly, right? So it's not a contiguous memory location. We do not have a fixed object layout, or we do not have we do not have constant offsets, right? That's why it's very difficult to get the properties of an object. Okay. So what V8 engine does is it implements a concept called hidden class. The hidden class's main motive is to mimic the functionality of a particular object layout. So it mimics how an object is created in statically typed languages, say for example in Java. Okay. Now let us see how the hidden classes are implemented. So suppose there are hidden classes. There are three things that we need to know. It is created at the runtime, it is applied to each and every object, and it optimizes the way we fetch the properties of an object. So say we have got this function, right? The function obj, it's a constructor function. We create an object from it, and the object looks like this. We have already seen this. So how does a hidden class look like here? So there is an object which is created as soon as this particular line is executed, new object. A class is created, say C0 is a class is created, which is an empty class, and it's a class during initialization. The object will be pointing to this empty class. Okay. Now the object is still there. We will, as this particular function is executed, it will go inside this, right? And these line will be executed one after the another. So first, when this line gets executed, another class C1 is created, which is transition from the C0 class, and the offset of X becomes 0. For example, if there is an object like this, there is X and Y, the offset of X will be 0 and the offset of Y will be 1, right? So there the offset is 0 and X is added to the object. This is a new class C1 and it has transitioned from C0, and the object now will point to the new class C1. Okay. Now when we come to this line, as in this dot y equals to y, another class is made, and this is transition from C1. So C0 C1 are already there with offset of 0 for X, and new offset 1 is added to that object where the value is y. So C2 is the new class which has been added to the object. So the object will be pointing to C2 now, and this becomes the final class or final hidden class, right? Now imagine this, when this hidden class is made, and this hidden class is made from this particular function, correct? This particular function constructor, each and every object which is being made from this function constructor will have this particular hidden class which is C2. That's what we understood, right? That is what we learned. It is important that an object is created from a particular function constructor and the properties are added in a particular order, like first is X and second is Y. So this is how the hidden class concept works for V8 engine in JS. Okay, so up until now it seems all fine with the hidden classes, all right? Right, they have specific offsets and all, right? Now what happens? Say suppose we start adding properties dynamically and not in the same order. Okay, so say there is an object, there was an object, right, obj, and there is an in that object we add properties a and b. A is 8 and b is 9. Another object obj1 was there, we add another property b and a. The type of the object seems same, right? They will have the same properties x, y, a, b, correct? But it will have x, y, a, b, and it will have x, y, b, a. The properties are added dynamically. That's true. And also they are added in the different order. Okay, what happens? the C0 class is met, which was the initial class. Then it got transitioned to C1 class, correct, with the offset 0 of x. We saw that, and then it transitioned to C2 class, correct, where the offset was 0 for x and 1 for y. Now what happens? We add a to object obj. So another class is made with offset 2 for a, right? So this is the object, this is the object, this was x, this is y, and this is a. So this is, say suppose this is b also, right? So this is offset 0, offset 1, offset 2. This is offset 1 and this is offset 2. Okay, so offset 2 of a. So this will be a new class. This is the new class which is being transitioned from this C1 C2 class, and this class will be, say, C3a. Okay, now another object, like for obj1, another class is being added which is b. Another property is being added, right? So another class has to be made which is basically C3b, and in this object there will be a new class. Now another object, another class is being added, right? Because we have added b in obj, correct? Now this will be the final class of this particular object, and this will be the final class for this particular object, right, with different offsets, right? So the class of so the concept of hidden classes gets for a toss, right? So the we try to maintain a particular property layout of the object, but the layout of the object properties goes for a toss here. Offset 0 and offset 1 is fine, but offset 2 and offset 3, it should be b here. Yeah. Offset 2 and offset 3 goes for a toss. So basically the hidden classes get maligned here. Okay, now we'll understand what are inline caches. So why did we understand hidden classes, and why it is important? We'll understand it from the inline caches. Okay, so inline cache, so it maintains the cache of the objects that are provided as parameters for a function. Okay, it maintains the cache of the objects which have been provided as parameters into a function. Based on this, the JS engine assumes what kind of objects will be passed into that function. The JS engine assumes what kind of object will be passed into the functions. Okay, fine. So the method is called by the object, right? Let's say suppose an object has a method called foo. The object calls this method the object calls this function foo with another object which is being passed into that particular function. Okay. The V8 engine looks into the hidden classes of the objects for the property. For example, an object's property x is needed and another object property is y is needed. So x plus y, we needed to do x plus y as addition operation. So if two objects are passed into a function, so suppose there is a function and obj1 is passed into it and obj2 is passed into it, and this is a function, so it will look into the properties of obj1 for x and obj2 for y. Okay, what happens now? If the hidden classes remain same for both the objects, right? So what happens? It stops the consecutive calls. It omits the lookup now. Why? So what happens now is, for the future calls, the V8 engine assumes that the class of the objects have not changed. Okay. What is the benefit? It helps the V8 engine to directly jump to the address of that particular object. For example, we know that object 1 has the structure x and y, and each and every time the function will be called will have this particular structure, correct? So it will know that this is the address of x, so it can directly go and fetch x. Similarly for y. Okay, so I guess it is clear now that a function that uses two objects at the same time with different hidden classes as parameters. If a function uses two objects of same type with different hidden classes as parameter, implementation of inline caching will be difficult as the addresses will be different of both the objects, like we saw in the previous two objects, obj and obj1, correct? So the crux of the matter stands that do not try to change how objects are constructed. It can create a storm internally. However, if we do not see the storm externally. So this is how basically the whole concept of JS is there, like how JS works under the hood. So I hope that it clears a lot of concepts, like how interpreters are working, how compilers are working, what are hidden classes, what is inline caching, what is hot piece of code, what is warm piece of code, right? Now that we have understood what is this, from the next videos we'll get into the memory management and do a lot more coding, which will help us as JavaScript developers and also will help us in the interview processes. Okay, thanks.